guys! So I've been using my 2018 Hobonichi Weeks for about a month now, and I thought that it would be a good time to show you how it's been going so far. I'm keeping it in my beloved Love by Hobby TN cover, which I'll link down below. And here I've just got some of my trusty charms that you've probably seen in a few different videos. And the pen that I'm using is a Kaweco Brass Sport extra fine fountain pen. And I've been changing the inks a lot, which is really great fun. So in here I don't keep a huge amount. I've got some diary stickers which I use occasionally. I've just got a receipt that I'm keeping for James and some sticky notes. And here is the weeks. So some of you might have seen on Instagram, I decided to make this into a motivational dashboard with Happy Planner stickers. So I'm mostly using Happy Planner stickers in this planner, as you'll see shortly. So I just put some positive quotes and some nice happy stickers. I'm only using the see-through stickers because they're very thin. I didn't want to use too many stickers that would bulk up the weeks a lot. And I've carried over a little bit onto here. This was the sticker that came with the weeks, with this particular one, Mr. Saturn. I'm not using this for anything. Previously I had used this to mark the days when I changed my fountain pen ink, just so that I would know when it was about to run out. But as you'll see shortly, I have taken to changing my ink quite frequently so that I can use lots of different colors. And so I just haven't been doing this because I don't really need to know when the ink is going to run out. This hasn't started yet. It starts in January 2018, oddly enough, since it is a 2018 planner. But I feel like because I've been using this planner for so long already, I've kind of forgotten that this exists and that I'm going to be able to start using it in another few days. So what I'm going to use this for is a tracker for keeping track of vitamins and medicine and that kind of thing. I've been using the monthly spread mostly as a tracker. So a lot of these things I will move over into this vertical spread when it kicks in. So I've been keeping track of vitamins, and I take beta blockers, so I've been keeping track of that as well, just, you know, so that I remember if I've taken the day's tablet. And I've also been keeping track of certain things like when Tails and Mochi had their flea medication, when they had their worm medication, when we've changed the sheets, that kind of thing that I just want to be able to reference quickly. So I think those things I'll keep in here when I switch the medicine and vitamin trackers over to here, because this doesn't have a lot of room. So if I need to write something out with words, it's easy to put it on here. I also dabbled in putting my bank balance in here because I try to check my bank balance every day, and I often forget to do it because my expenses planner is on the shelf. So this is an issue that I've been dealing with that I've talked about in some other videos. If it's on the shelf and it's not right in front of me, then I just tend not to use it. So I've been thinking maybe I would put it in here, but I don't want this to get too crowded. So I think after I move this vitamin medicine tracking into the vertical spread, I might see if I have a bit more room and can do it in here, because that would probably guarantee I do it every day since I always have this with me. And then down at the bottom, I've been using this to track online orders. So this actually started in November with a couple of November orders, because the planner started at the end of November and then it's carried on into December. And here I've just written some things to remember. So the boys need their flea medicine on the 1st of the month. So it's mostly for tracking, but there are a couple of things that I put in advance as reminders. And then I've just been decorating it a little bit just to give it a splash of color. So I don't use this for forward planning generally, because this planner is my personal planner, and I don't really use it for appointments. My appointments go in my Hobonichi Cousin, which is my work planner, but I like to have all of my appointments in one place so I don't have to check two different planners. So this is really more of a to-do list, basically. And so I don't generally put forward planning events in the monthlies. Right, now if we move on to the weeklies, this was the first week that I started using it. And I'm using this a bit differently than I was using my 2017 week. So first of all, as I mentioned, I've decided to change up the ink colors a lot so that I can create a rainbow effect with all different colors of ink. And I've been really excited to do that because that's something I've never done before, and so far it's been a lot of fun. I'll show you as it progresses how that's going. Secondly, as I said, I've decided to use stickers, and I've really been enjoying that as well because it just makes the page so bright and happy, and it makes it a lot more fun to use the planner. So what I've been doing is I decided in the end, following some advice from very helpful comments in my last video, which was my week setup dilemma, when I wasn't sure how to use these weekly spreads, I decided to try using the right-hand page for a running to-do list that wasn't broken down by day. So just things that I wanted to get done sometime during the week, but I wasn't sure when. And on the left-hand side, I would put in to-dos that were day-specific. So you can see here I put to do at the top here. This is a Mambi sticker, and then I've just written in some things that needed to be done, but it didn't happen. It didn't matter if they happened on a particular day. Whereas here I've put in things that I really wanted to get done on a particular day. Sometimes I put in some events. Usually that's happened if my cousin hasn't been to hand. I usually have my cousin with me as well, but occasionally I don't, and so if this is the only planner I have with me, then I'll just write things down in here as a catch-all until I can get to my cousin and input that information into my cousin. So I'm a bit flexible about this because the main idea is that I want always to have a planner with me that I feel like I can write anything in if I need to, and that's what this planner is. So I've also sometimes written some expenses. Again, like I mentioned, I have a separate expenses tracker, which I don't always have to hand because it stays on my shelf. And in those cases, if I am good about it and I have extra room here, then I can put the expenses in here. This is something that I might end up using the monthly spread for. I have experimented in the past using the monthly spread as an expenses tracker, and I found that it's too small to write in exactly what I was spending money on, but if it's just a catch-all until I can get to the proper expenses tracker, then I think I could put in the amount here, because on most days I'll probably have quite a lot of room in this spread, and just some little note like an abbreviation that means something to me so that I remember what I spent it on, and then I can write it down in my expenses tracker. So we'll see. So the monthly spread might turn into more of a finance tracking section than anything else. So in places where I ended up not writing a lot for that day, I've then gone back later and put stickers on just to make it a bit more colorful, but I don't do that until I'm near the end of the week because I wanted to make sure that I have extra room if I need it. And I did that here as well. So what happened here was I'd written some stuff at the top, and then I wasn't quite in the hang of just using this as a running to-do list. So by the time I got down to, I think it was Thursday, I felt like I would be confused if I went back up and started writing in to-dos here. And so I wanted them to go with the day. And so I ended up leaving this blank space, and then I put in a sticker there later to cover it up. So that was the first week. I sometimes, if I had some extra room, as you can see here near the bottom, by the time I got to the weekend and I had this extra space, I decided to use this as a very detailed to-do list for one particular day. So I have get dressed, brush teeth, have tea and breakfast, book tickets, work, TV, etc., which is more detailed than what I would normally put on here because usually I like to be a bit sparing with the room, and if I had anything that detailed I would put it in my daily planner. But in this case we were away, we were in Wales, and I didn't have my daily planner with me, so I decided I had enough room and I put that on here. Okay, then the next week I carried on in a similar fashion, but I started putting on weekend stickers. This was an experiment because I thought it would really be fun to put weekend stickers on. And I had got this new pack of stickers, the Mini Happy Planner Choose Happy value pack, which had just become available in the UK. It was very exciting. And so I tried putting this on, and I found that it actually did not fit very well this way because it basically destroyed 2 days and it was hard to fit things on there. So in retrospect, this was not a great choice, but it really did brighten up the page, so I like it from that perspective. So I carried on putting in mostly to-dos. Sometimes I'd put in events. So for example, if Tails and Mochi were getting picked up by the dog sitters, I would put that in even though it's in my work planner as well. Either because I didn't have that to hand when I made the appointment, or because it just somehow at the time seemed convenient to me to have it in here. And then I did it a little bit more expense tracking, but you can see that's quite random. So I have kind of a mix of to-dos and appointments, and I'm not taking it too serious. I'm not being too stressed about it. As long as all of my appointments go in my cousin as well, then I don't mind a little bit of reduplication, but I'm not studiously putting all my appointments in here, only if it's something that, you know, seems like it would be particularly convenient to have in here as well. And then here, again, I've got the to-do list at the top, and then I've just been writing to-dos in the order that they occur to me, not necessarily for any particular day. I have been experimenting as well with 1 column versus 2 columns on this side. So in my 2017 and 2016 weeks, I always had 2 columns for to-dos, but it's been quite luxurious having the whole page to write over, especially because I stopped using this for events and appointments so much, and I'm more using this for daily to-dos. I have a bit more space, and I quite like being able to write a longer horizontal list rather than having it in these narrow columns. It probably doesn't matter too much either way, because if I only had half the page, I would then just make this a 2-line list, if you see what I mean, rather than writing it over the whole page. But I'm just experimenting. It's not too serious. Like I said, it really doesn't matter. At the beginning of the year, I had this idea that I wanted to have this perfect setup that stayed exactly the same for the whole year, and now I think, you know what, it doesn't really matter if it doesn't look uniform. That's fine, because I can look back and it will just show how the planning system has evolved over the year. So around here, I got sick of waiting for this blue ink to run out, and I decided to switch to a different ink. And so I switched to, this was supposed to be purple, but I was using a different pen, and it was kind of I think it was a mix of inks, and it ended up looking like this very dark, on camera it sort of looks almost like a dark black, but it was actually like a kind of very deep plum. So it didn't look as purple as I wanted it to be. My idea was that I wanted to go through the rainbow in order. So I would switch from one ink to the next color along in the rainbow. And then, you know, as I flip through, I would have this rainbow effect, which obviously isn't perfect anyway, because I have the stickers, which are all different colors. But, you know, I think it will still look happy and colorful. So then I switched to this other color. This is a Pilot Iroshizuku. I think this is Asijai or Asagao. I don't remember which one this is. Anyway, probably neither of those is right. It's supposed to be like a kind of lavender, but it's coming up a bit more blue on here. So I used that for a little while. And you can see here I kind of experimented with 2 columns, and then I went back to 1 column, which I think I prefer. But sometimes if it's a short list of, if it's a list of a lot of short things, then it is more economical to have it over 2 columns. Now, here you can see a dramatic change in the ink. So I really got sick of the sort of bluey purple, and I wanted to start going into the oranges and reds. And so I started trying out this one, which is a kind of reddy pink, and that was a lot of fun. But then I switched to orange, which I liked even better, and you can see that I really kind of use this orange quite a bit. So here again, stickers, I'll put in some more stickers if I have some blank spaces, just to give it a nice look. This generally I decorate beforehand, so you can see here are some days that I've decorated in advance, and this is the kind of spread that I'm really happy with. Putting the weekend banner like this actually works a lot better. You have to cut off the edge a little bit with scissors, but this works perfectly and it doesn't take away too much space. So I've decorated quite a bit in advance here until the end of February. And then I straight away have some color on the page when I go to write in it, and then if there's any blank space afterwards, I go through and fill this up with stickers. So here you can see I had 2 columns here, and then I switched to 1 column. So there's some wasted space here, but I did end up having, you know, more or less enough room for the week. And I've kind of settled into a routine, I would say, where generally on the left I put in events like I had a boiler service, so I wrote that in. But it's generally to-dos here, to-dos that are day specific. And then here is just a running list of to-dos, which sometimes belong to a specific day. So all of this was for one day, but because I hadn't used anything, this was for Friday. And because, as you can see, I'd been quite sparing with the general to-dos up until then. I had a big blank space and by the time I got to Friday, so I wrote all of this on Friday, and that was fine. So it's really going on a week-by-week basis. If I have more room, then I can be more flexible with it later in the week. If I have less room, then I don't write these detailed to-dos and I might put them in a daily planner. But generally it's working quite well, and I feel like I have enough room for whatever I want. Originally I was thinking that maybe I'd put these more detailed daily to-do lists in the notes pages, but I've decided that I really like keeping my notes pages for more long-term collections, which I'll show you in a minute. So I have generally been trying to avoid this kind of long list that takes up a lot of space. I'm thinking about maybe introducing another one of these week's memo notepads from Hobonichi, because they're the perfect sort of thing for that type of list where you don't need to look back on it long term. It's not very important, you don't need to reference it, but it's nice to just feel like you have as much space as you want to write a giant list of to-dos for the day and not have to worry about running out of room. So I'm considering that. But I also like the thought of having everything in this book. This is where I keep my passwords and other security information, so it wouldn't go in here. And the thought of having two of these books, I'm not sure. So for now I haven't done anything about that, and it's been working fine, but I'll see. And this is the current week. So here I switched from orange to yellow, and this yellow ink has been fun. At first when you look at it, it feels like you can't see anything, like there's nothing written there and it's kind of hard to read, but actually it is okay to read. So I really like how this is now switching from orange to yellow, and then the next one will be green. So I kind of like to go through the whole rainbow and then go back again, and I'm really enjoying that. So again, here I've got mostly to-dos, but then sometimes I put in an event. So for example, on the 19th, it was Tails' birthday. He turned 6, and so I put in a little cake and Tails. So that it's kind of fun to be able to commemorate things like that with stickers, which I hadn't ever done before in my weeks. And because these stickers are transparent plastic ones, they won't bulk up the weeks too much. So I'm really happy with that. And then I note things down sometimes like payday, just because it's nice to have that in all of my planners. But I'm generally using this for daily to-dos, occasionally appointments, and then for either to-dos that can be done anytime during the week, or as the week goes on, I can use it for more detailed lists for a particular day. So because this is for to-dos that can be done anytime during the week, I can go back and see whether it's been ticked off or not, rather than transferring the same to-do multiple times down the page, which is what I used to do when I was using these for daily to-dos divided along the same lines as the left-hand side, if you see what I mean. So now, if there's something earlier on in the week that hasn't been done, like this one, for example, I just have to get used to checking the whole page to make sure that I've covered everything, because my instinct from the last 2 years is to cross this out and then copy it again further down. But to save space, because theoretically this should be valid for the whole week, I've been leaving it blank, and I just have to remind myself to check the whole thing periodically and make sure that it's been done. If I decide that I want to do one of these tasks on a particular day, then I'll slot it into the particular day and generally leave it unchecked here as well, just as a safety catch for myself, so that I should do it here because it's on a particular day, but I've also left it up there just in case, so that I'm guaranteed to remember to do it. And sometimes I leave a bit of blank space at the bottom that I can write things on, like a booking reference, or here I had the tracking ID for my 5-year Techo order from Hobonichi. I haven't been overly concerned about leaving space here, just because usually there's enough room somewhere on the daily pages or the weekly to-do list, and I have been enjoying decorating it, but sometimes if there's room I do use this bit of space at the bottom. Since I put the quotes over both pages last year, I kind of have sort of grown accustomed to the thought that I'm not necessarily going to have this space to use for notes anyway. Whereas 2 years ago, this was a dedicated note space, which I really, really liked because I would use it for exactly that kind of thing, tracking IDs, phone numbers, websites, things that I, wanted to be able to reference. But I've got used to not having it. Somebody asked me last year, like, why didn't you cover it up with Tipp-Ex? And I have to say I'm just too type A to be able to do that. I cannot put Tipp-Ex on my Hobonichis because it would bug me. I feel like it would look messy. And the same thing goes for stickers, because apart from these clear stickers, if you put on washi tape or any other kind of sticker, I just feel like they make this bottom part of the page too bulky, and that would really annoy me too. So that's basically how it's going. I've written in some things like my current account is switching over because I'm switching to a different bank, so I've put that in there. These are the kind of things that they're not really appointments, they're just things that I'd like to remember that they're happening, and I don't want to put them in my work planner because they're not work related. And they're not appointments that, affect me that are time bound. Well, they are time bound, but they're not, I don't need to do anything. I just need to remember that they're happening. And I sometimes put in appointments that James has as well. So James has a doctor's appointment, and I put that in just because it's helpful to know. So sometimes I can remind him if I need to. And yeah, like I said, I've just decorated up until the beginning of March because it's so much fun. So that's how I'm using the weekly and the monthly spreads. Now for the notes, I wasn't sure at the beginning of last month when I the end of November, the end of last month, when I started using this, how I was going to use the note spreads. And it's kind of evolved organically, so I've ended up using them for collections, and I've divided them by page. So each page has a different topic. Sometimes a topic might only last for half a page and I'll put down a new topic beneath, but I like to keep the same general theme for a page. So for example, this is a list of food that I think it's always useful to have in the house. And it's good to have this here because when we go to the supermarket, I can consult it, and rather than making a specific shopping list, if we don't manage to do that, I can just check this list and see, do we have all of these things? Which ones are we missing? And then make sure that we don't run out. So it's just like a kind of permanent shopping list, and I really like that. And then down below, I made a list of the things that we like to order from the Chinese restaurant for takeaway because it seemed to go in the same general theme. They have numbers, so I just written down the numbers of the things that we like. And then I've put a bit of decoration, food-themed decoration here. And this is a list of my fountain pens. So I'm hoping that this list doesn't get too much longer because I already have quite a few fountain pens, but I'm saving the rest of this for something else that is maybe a list of ink that I have, or something else that's pen related or certainly stationery related. Then here I have a list of my planners. So this is my December 2017 lineup, and then this is my January 2017 lineup, and there's some extra space there for a February lineup. Then planner videos that I want to make. I do have a separate planner, as some of you probably seen recently, but again, this is just convenient to have because I always have it with me. So if I think of a video that I want to make and my planner isn't to hand, because that also lives on the shelf, I can just write it in here and then copy it to the planner later. So it's really just, like I said, a catch-all. I never have to think which planner should it go into because I can always put it in here, whatever it is, and then siphon it off to the right planner later. Then I've got some notes for planner videos, notebooks that I need to find a use for, and bound planners to do a comparison video, which is something that I want to do. And then I've decorated the bottom of each page. So I've decided that I'm going to decorate each page because that just makes it so much nicer, and it also makes it fit in with the weekly views. So the whole thing has a coherent look, which makes me very happy. This was a note of problems with our general flat and living arrangements, like too much laundry, not enough food at home, and how to sort out those problems. So we've found solutions to the problems, and I've just put these stickers on here to make it happy. Here's a packing list. So I found that I was writing packing lists over and over every time we would go somewhere, and I thought this is just the sort of thing that it would make sense to have a permanent list of in my planner. So this is clothes and this is other things to pack, and if I just consult this list, I might have to alter it slightly depending on where we're going, but it's generally quite a reliable list that I can use. So I've used this already once when we went to Wales a few days ago. And I'm putting decorations on each one of these pages and not really worrying if it takes up some space, because I think so far, it's probably not really going to be an issue. I did debate, and I'm kind of still debating, whether I should have got the Weeks Mega when it came out. The reason that I didn't was because I really liked this cover, and the Weeks Mega just has the plain covers. And also because I thought, as this is my on-the-go planner, I didn't want anything that would add bulk, because I carry this, and in most cases I carry my cousin when I go out, as that's my work planner. So I have too much stuff in my bag as it is, and I didn't want a planner that would be heavier. And I also thought, based on last year, that I can manage perfectly well with 70 note pages and I don't need 200. However, I would not be a planner addict if I didn't constantly second guess myself about that decision and think, but if I had 200 note pages, I would never even have to worry about rationing the pages, and I could use them for whatever I wanted to, and I could use them for daily notes, and I could do this and I could do that, etc. So I'm still not sure, and maybe next year I'll try the Mega and see, because if you have 200 note pages, I feel like you just never have to worry about running out of room. As it is now, I've been using this for a month, and I have used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages out of 68. So depending on how I use them for the rest of the year, I might run out of room. I might have to start rationing. But I also have quite a few pages where there's extra room here that I can make into some other kind of list. So for example, this has got more space on it. I can add something in here, planner video notes or something like that. The packing list is not going to get much bigger, so I could use the rest of this for something else, as long as it's home related, I would say. I don't want, I want each page to have some kind of a theme so that it makes it easier for me to go back and find them. I've got the index to use, but I haven't used any of it at the moment because I haven't wanted to commit. I think you'll know what I mean, because the index is quite limited. So I just want to keep this for the very most highly referenced things that I need to find a lot. And because I'm so far at the beginning of the book, it's not hard to flip through and find what I want. But as we get further into the year, if I'm on page 60 or something, it will be really hard to find things. So I want to keep the index for that. I could make a secondary index at the back of the book, but I haven't decided on that yet. This could be an index. In fact, this would be perfect for an index because it's numbered. And it's got more numbers than the Weeks has note pages. At the moment, I've been using it for things that I need to remember, like discount codes and things like that, but I'm not sure whether it might be better as an index. I'll leave it, I won't use it too much, and then I'll see how it evolves over the course of the next couple of months. But in the meantime, I think that things are going okay with the note paper, but it's always a little bit nerve-wracking to think, do you have enough? And I also have this feeling that because I've ended up using these notes for relatively long-term organized types of things, I feel like I'm a little bit reluctant to use them just for really messy notes. You know how sometimes you just want to make some random notes, like calculate some numbers or just write down some stuff completely messy, make some diagrams and not worry about how it looks. I feel like I don't want to do that in here, because everything that I've done so far has been relatively coherent, planned. It's not like this is the pinnacle of art, of beauty and artistic elevation, but I still feel like these are relatively long-term notes, and I would feel a little bit nervous now if I were just to go in and scroll some stuff. I wouldn't like having it in my weeks alongside my nice tidy lists, if you see what I mean. So again, maybe it's time to introduce one of the memo pads just for completely free, unaesthetic, dirty planning, or dirty note-taking rather, because for the planning, I feel like this is fine. I don't need I don't need any more room, except for, as I said, the detailed daily notes maybe, which could also go in that memo book. Basically, the memo book could be for anything that's kind of ephemeral that I don't want to worry how it looks. But I'm not really sure the best way to do it. So that is something that's still in progress. And I've just left the rest of this blank because the idea is that I'm just going to use one page per topic, and I'm not going to allocate pages in advance for any topic. So if I have, for example, if I want to have another page about planner notes, I'll just start it later and that will be fine, because if I need to reference them, I'll just put the multiple pages in the index so that I can find them. But a lot of these things are things that I'm not going to have to be checking all the time. So that's how I'm using the notes pages, and I'm really, really happy with that, except, like I said, the desire to keep this looking tidy and pristine and not just use it for scrolling random notes. So I still have to decide what to do about that. I could just use a separate notebook because I do have enough of those, and just say, well, this is not for that, this is for more long-term things. But part of the idea of having this planner which is with me all the time is that it's nice to be able to write whatever I want to in it and not worry so much about how it looks. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about that. So that is my current week setup. I'm really enjoying it, and I will keep you posted and do another update after I've been using it for another couple of months and maybe have found some solutions to some of these ongoing questions, or the way that I've been using it starts to change. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!